Simple Tales presents East of the Sun and West of the Moon from Norwegian Folklore. There was once a poor man who lived with his wife and many children on the edge of a cold northern forest. Winter was long, food was scarce, and each year seemed harder than the last. One evening, as snow drifted against the walls of their cottage, a great white bear appeared at the door. The creature spoke with a human voice. "If you will give me your youngest daughter, your family will never know poverty again." The father was horrified. The daughter was frightened. Yet the white bear promised she would come to no harm. At first, she refused. But when she saw her family's hunger and hardship, she finally agreed. The next morning, she climbed onto the white bear's back, and together they disappeared into the wilderness. For hours, they traveled across snowy hills and frozen valleys until they reached a magnificent castle hidden among the mountains. Inside were warm fires, endless food, and rooms more beautiful than anything she had ever imagined. Every night, after darkness fell, a man came to her chamber. His voice was gentle, his words were kind. Yet the room remained completely dark. She could speak with him, laugh with him, and grow close to him. But she was forbidden to see his face. Night after night, she obeyed. As the months passed, she became happy. Still, a small question remained in her heart. Who was he? One day, she was allowed to visit her family. Her mother listened to the story and frowned. "No good can come from secrets," she said. "When he sleeps, light a candle and see who he truly is." The girl returned to the castle, carrying those words in her mind. That night, she waited until the man beside her had fallen asleep. Slowly, she lit a candle. Its small golden flame pushed back the darkness. For the first time, she saw him. He was not a monster. He was the most handsome prince she had ever seen. For a moment, she simply stared, amazed that such kindness and such beauty had been hidden from her all this time. Then her hand trembled. A drop of hot wax fell from the candle. It landed on the prince's shirt. His eyes opened instantly. The joy vanished from his face. A deep sadness replaced it. "You should never have done this," he said quietly. "I was under a spell." "If you had waited one more year, the curse would have broken forever." The girl felt her heart sink. The prince continued. "Now I must leave you. I must go to a castle far away, east of the sun and west of the moon. There I must marry a troll princess." Before she could answer, the castle vanished. The prince was gone, and she found herself alone in the cold forest. Many people would have returned home. Many would have accepted the loss. But she did neither. If the prince was at the end of the world, then she would walk to the end of the world. And so she began her journey. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. She crossed forests where wolves howled beneath the moon, and mountains where snow buried entire roads. Eventually, she reached an old woman spinning beside a cottage. The woman listened to her story. For her courage, she gifted the girl a golden apple. Then she pointed her onward. The journey continued. Another old woman gave her a golden carding comb. A third gave her a golden spinning wheel. Each gift seemed mysterious, yet the girl accepted them and kept walking. At last she reached the home of the North Wind. The North Wind was enormous. His beard was made of icicles, his breath carried blizzards. When he spoke, the walls trembled. "I know the place you seek," he said, "but even I cannot carry you there." Still, he carried her farther than any human had ever traveled. She flew over frozen seas where ships lay trapped beneath mountains of ice. When they landed, the North Wind sent her onward. Next, she met the West Wind. The West Wind smelled of salt and storm. His cloak was woven from rain clouds. He swept her across wild oceans, where waves crashed like thunder against black cliffs. Yet even he could not reach the mysterious castle. Then came the South Wind. Warm desert air swirled around him. Golden sand followed wherever he walked. He carried her across endless lands where heat shimmered like water and distant horizons never seemed to grow closer. But he too shook his head. "The place you seek lies beyond my reach." Finally she arrived before the East Wind, the oldest of them all. His voice was calm. His eyes seemed to have watched the world since the beginning of time. Unlike the others, he smiled when he heard her story. "Tomorrow," he said, "I travel to the castle east of the sun and west of the moon." The girl's heart leaped. "Then please take me with you." The East Wind agreed. For 9 days and 9 nights they flew. They passed beyond mountains, beyond oceans, beyond lands found on any map. Stars wheeled overhead. Clouds drifted beneath them. At times it seemed they had left the world entirely. Then, at last, she saw it. A shining castle standing alone at the edge of reality itself. The castle east of the sun and west of the moon. The East Wind set her down before its gates. Inside lived the troll princess. Inside lived the prince she had crossed the world to find. The girl soon learned terrible news. The wedding would take place the very next day. Yet she had not come this far to surrender. That evening, she displayed her golden apple. The troll princess admired it immediately. "I will trade it for 1 night with the prince," said the girl. The bargain was accepted, but the prince had been given a sleeping potion. No matter how she called to him, he could not wake. The next evening, she offered the golden carding comb. Again, she earned time with him. Again, he slept through her tears. On the 3rd night, she offered the golden spinning wheel. The bargain was made once more. But this time, servants who had overheard her sorrow told the prince what had happened. When she entered the room, he was awake. At first, they simply looked at one another. Neither spoke, neither could. After so much loss and distance, words seemed too small. Finally, the prince smiled. "You came." The girl laughed through her tears. "Of course I came." Together they devised a plan. The next day, the prince announced that he would only marry the woman who could wash the wax stains from his shirt. The troll princess tried. Her servants tried. No one succeeded. Then the girl stepped forward. The stains vanished beneath her hands. The prince declared that only the person who had caused the stain could remove it. The truth was revealed. The troll princess was exposed. The curse was broken. And the prince was finally free. Soon afterward, they left the castle together. They crossed back through the world she had traveled so bravely alone. This time, however, she did not walk as someone searching. She walked as someone who had found her way. And so they returned home, where they lived in peace and happiness for many years. The story of East of the Sun and West of the Moon reminds us that mistakes do not have to be the end of a journey. Sometimes they are the beginning. The girl lost everything because of a single moment of curiosity. Yet what saved her was not magic. It was courage. She crossed the world, faced impossible distances, and refused to abandon hope. Sometimes love is measured not by promises kept, but by how far we are willing to travel after they are broken. Thank you for listening to Simple Tales. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more timeless tales from around the world. Until next time, goodbye.